In Kabbalah, there are many concepts that are quite misunderstood. One of the concepts is called Partzuf. Partzuf is a face imprint, a face of a person. And we're going to go a little bit out of order, and we'll see first how it works, and then we're going to go to the definition. And later time, we'll go to the definitions of what is Partzuf. So one needs to know that they are in the shape and the face, there are parallel qualities to the spiritual as it is in the physical. The physical man was created with an image and with a shape. That is, his body, and that's what the pasuk says, Naseh Adam betzalmenu chedmutenu. We should make a man in our shape and in our image. In other words, the limbs of the human were not created haphazardly just for, Kadosh Baruch Hu had nothing else to do, so he created a man with two hands, or two legs, or one nose, and so on and so forth. There is a reason and a purpose why all the limbs were created the way they are. And that's the order of nature. If you, for example, go to your room and you just take your clothes off and you throw him here or throw him there and so on and so forth, you cannot tell me they were organized. And if then you're going to have to pick it up one by one and then fold them and put the shirts in one area and the pants in one area and your underpants and so on and so forth, everything in one different shelf and so on and so forth, for a reason. Because if I want pants, I will be able to go like this and pull it out and so on. So you get more or less the idea behind it. So therefore, the limbs of a person were not created haphazardly, but for one specific task and one specific reason, and that is to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Simple as that. If you thought other, you're wrong. Now you think about all the things that you do that are not geared to that, especially when it has to do with your own personal pleasures or ideas. So you come to think about, why would my legs take me to this place? My legs should take me to the Bet Medrash where I can learn. Why my hand is doing that where my hand could be doing this? You need to ask yourself, aren't you the master of your own body? So that was the purpose why everything was created. And the way it was created, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Betzalmenu chedmutenu, there is as the image of what we call the spiritual human, or the spiritual person in the spiritual world. And in the world of Kabbalah, it's called Adam de Atzilut. There are, in the four different worlds, there is such level, it's called Atzilut. Atzilut means shadow. Is the first domain where the light from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is shed directly on it, or like shadowed on it. So Adam de Atzilut is the higher level. When a person does mitzvot, is fulfilling the mitzvot, is doing kiyum mitzvot, and what the Torah had commanded him, that's why the Torah says to us, whatever I commanded you, you should not divert left or right. Lo tasu yamin u'smol. Do what I told you to do, because then it becomes mitzvot HaTorah. But when you create your own mitzvot, it's not mitzvot HaTorah. So, okay, so you ask me, so what difference does it make if I do this or I make my own mitzvah? Let's say, for example, I want to shake the lulav in Shavuot as well. What do you care if I do that? I'll make a bracha, And here all of a sudden comes the whole machloket of like brachot levatala, or brachot levatala. Because if you're saying, you see how it becomes a snowball. Because what's the big deal if I said, different bracha on, let's say, as a bottle of water. So say on that borei pri adama. Come on, what difference does it make? It's such You're so obsessed with those things that it will make such a difference to you. What happens is, so when a person fulfills the mitzvot, whether it's b'dibur, by talking, or by an action, a direct action, straightforward action with his body, every mitzvah is considered to be a tikkun of that spiritual entity that is out there. Ha'adam haruchani, that spiritual being that is out there. Okay? Without getting too much into that, we have to say, because this is not really a little premature, we could say that the spiritual man is a unit, is a complete entity, a complete unit that has 600, and therefore we call it a partzuf, a face, that has 613 looming light sources, like picture like little LCDs, little cells that shine and they create a whole picture. Okay, little lights that each one contributes to this overall picture. If you have a screen when one or two lights are not lit, you see something is wrong with the picture. Imagine a whole screen that is conducted of those like little lights, that big portions of that are not shining. This is not a picture. It's like, what's the point of this? So the same thing. So when those lights shine, those lights are actually become the essence and the root of what is called ha'adam ha'gashmi, the physical person. So in a way, it's a cycle. You're doing the mitzvot here in this world. You cause the lights to shine. The lights shine in a way. They give you essence into you. They give you some meaning. They make you into a complete person. It's a cycle. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us that we should know and we should recognize Him. That's why He created us in a fashion that we could relate to in the spiritual world, based on what is in the spiritual world. Otherwise, how am I supposed to relate to something that is beyond me, or I have no relation to? For example, can you relate to a rock? Do you know how a rock feels? Maybe a rock does feel, but it just feels different, but I cannot relate to it. For me, a rock is a rock. But in the spiritual world, is a rock really a rock? Those things have other living entities in them? Yes, but I cannot relate to. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us. That's why He put men, or created men in such a way that only men would be able to relate to God. I don't see yet a dog praying or a lion praying. And I don't care about Lion King, or Mufasa, whatever it is, that's Walt Disney. That's a fantasy world. But a dog does not pray to God, nor a lion, nor Simba, nor whatever. Or Abu, to that matter. Only men. Why? And it doesn't make a difference if you are some kind of a tribe that haven't seen white men since the time of the flood somewhere in the Amazon, or you sitting down in Cambridge University writing a PhD or thesis on I don't know, Greek philosophy. We all have this ability to understand the concept of God. And by the way, through the understanding of a God, that's how we reject Him. I cannot reject something that it does not exist. Think about it. I just don't. I can't. It doesn't exist for me. So there's nothing for me to reject. But it's something that I acknowledge it exists. Only then I could reject it. If I said to you, for example, I have no feelings to you, so you can tell me, you know what, I resent your feelings to me. I have no feelings to you. It just, but only men can do that. Why? Because only to humans, it says, Na'aseh Adam b'tzalmenu u'chedmutenu. Should make a man in our image. And why is it done? So we should be able to relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you were in a world of slavery all your life, you would not be able to relate to the concept of freedom. You were born a slave, and that's all you know. That there are masters and there are slaves. But if one time you were free, now you know what it means to be a slave. And this is how you're going to say, you guys ask me, well, how about the children that were born into slaves, You're right, but that concept of once I was a free man had passed down to the generations from grandfather to father to grandchild, that one time there was such thing as free and not everybody's born a slave. Because if a person was never introduced to the process of, or to the concept of freedom, and then one day he becomes free, he will not be able to exist. Almost like the people that go to jail for like 1,000,000 years, they stay in jail forever and ever, they come back, they want to go back in. They can't take the world outside, because that's all they know, that's all became a reality for them. So the way we were created is only to be able to relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, you ask yourself, if this is what I do, do I live my life according to the original plan that I was intended to? I think it will be terrific to have two noses, for example. I mean, if one gets clogged, at least I can breathe from the other one, right? But apparently, it doesn't happen. Why? Because there is a reason. And the reason is those illuminating lights that reflect to us in every one of our limbs. The Ramach Evarim v'Shasa Gidim. Ramach 248. Ramach Evarim. V'Shasa Gidim 365 other parts of our body. And you say, well, our bodies have different parts. No, this is how we relate to them. I mean, medicine, you can count, this one is a part, this one. But in the world of Kabbalah, the division is different. Okay, argument's sake. You could divide the large intestines from the small intestines, right? And you call these are different things. I said, they're one thing, and one doctor takes care of them. Gastroenterologist, he takes care of them. For me, it's one digestive system from the stomach all the way down to to the other end. That's all the digestive system. So it depends how I divide it. In the division of human limbs in Lashon HaTorah and Lefi Kabbalah, there are 613. Why? So there are parts of mitzvot aseh and there are parts of mitzvot lo ta'aseh. Right? The 248 mitzvot aseh and 365 mitzvot lo ta'aseh. Why? So every single day, with every single limb of my body, I could do a mitzvah that then in return would illuminate, would shine that light and will fix that. What does it mean that it fixes it? It's not that it's broken. They don't have a circuit breaker in heaven. It's not revealed to you when you don't do the mitzvah. Or on the other hand, when you do an averah, you simply create a barrier, a mask that prevents this light from shining down on you and it reflects on you. That's why the Ari would be able to look at you. It says, you did mitzvah today, and that was the mitzvah. How? Because it shows on you. You look it. And a person who lives in such a high level of spirituality will be able to detect if you did a mitzvah or you did an avarah and so on and so forth, based on how this thing shines on you. So, in In the physical person, Ba'adam Gashmi, we could look at two different dimensions, right? We have the body and we have the soul. Internal, external. And so is in the spiritual face, right? The soul of the Parzuf, of the face, of the spiritual face, his inner part is the light of the Ein Sof, and the Chitzoniyut, the external part, is what we call the Sferot, the spheres. In other words, the spheres are the vehicles or the vessels of the Ein Sof. The Ein Sof refers to the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is just a vehicle to him. And as much as the limbs of the body would divide into internal and external organ, and then we have organs that are in between. For example, eyes are internal and you could see them, tongue, and so on and so forth. They are also in that spiritual world like that. And as much as the human body is divided between, we can say, the head, the torso, and the limbs, the legs, so is also in the spiritual world. There is a certain division, and that division is important to understand from where the light is lighting, is shining. There are certain things that the light, and you read it in Kabbalah a lot. It goes from me'achazeh lemala, from the chest up, me'achazeh lemata, from the torso down. Because this is the ability of a certain light, to shine on something. If something does not have enough light, or the light only reaches a certain spectrum, there's nothing I can do to bring it up. So I need to complete it rather than try to manipulate it. And the shape, the way that the human limbs are connected to each other also represent how the sferot connected one to another. You know, you know what I'm talking about, right? The shape of the sferot with the Etz HaChaim, you know the picture? Give me the markers, I'll show you. So, knowing that, never mind. So knowing that, we could explain and we could understand that every limb in the body of the person, physical, has a parallel in the spiritual world, and not only to the general. Let's say, for example, there's a mitzvah that you do with your hand. So, but also lepirtei pratim. As much as your hand is not just this to here. Inside, I have muscles, I have tendons, I have bones, I have phalanges, I have all kind of different things, nails, whatever you want to call it. Also in the spiritual world, I have something like that. Everything is broken down into, and then you could see, for example, when we do Sfirat HaOmer, today we say Chesed Shebechesed. Tomorrow, Gvura Shebechesed. Next day, and so on and so forth. Every day it changes. So every sfera has another sfera in it, and has another sfera in it. Just like the human body. I have a hand. In the hand I have skin. Then in the skin I have this layer, that layer, the epidermis, the whatever dermis, right? Then they have cells, and everyone has, and so on. So let's say, for example, in Sferat Keter, I have all the other sferot, and inside I have Keter, Gvura Shebeketer. And in Gvura Shebeketer I have another 10 sferot in it, and so on. It breaks down to almost like an astronomical number. And this is the same thing as in my body, an astronomical number of different parts of my body, all the way down to the cells. So is that. That's why it's very important to do things with your whole entire body. And then you have the inner part, and that's your kavanah, when you do things with your body, but you don't really mean that. So that's the kavanah, you don't have that. And not only, and that when you do that, you create a tremendous light that comes down on you. And that's what people are drawn to that. People are drawn to do the different lights. People are either drawn to the light, for example, or like the sunrise in the morning, beautiful, pure light, wonderful light. Or people are drawn to the lights of a disco, with whatever, it makes you dizzy, and I don't know what people will go, but you get the point. People are drawn to people who are either shining positive light, or those who are shining disco light. But you need to be able, based on what your actions are, to know which person you're drawn to. And if you completely mesmerized with a person that you know is I shall call him a dirt bag, means that there is a certain quality in you. The light that is shining on you is not good. It means you need to fix your ways. Because the light that comes down is not a pure light. It's an impure light. And that's something that you have to examine. And you have to realize. And based on that, people will be able to tell if you're a good person, a bad person, and in return, the whole interaction comes. Again, you're drawn to certain people, you draw people after you, so you could either change the world or destroy the world. Look at Rav Ovadia Yosef. There's one person. And this one person, somehow, he was able to reach out at least 1 million people that came to his funeral. Otherwise, they wouldn't come to the funeral. This one person. Imagine all those that wanted to come and couldn't come. Imagine all those who, for example, here in America, I would want to go, but I couldn't go to the funeral. I'm here, he's there. This is one person. Why? Because all his life he fixed that, what is so-called a human person. One thing he did not do, he did not get into politics. He wasn't a political person. That's dirt. Politics is dirt. But that's one person. You tell me it's impossible to influence, you're wrong. That's how it is. And every person, to whatever ability he has to, and that's when you give from yourself to others. You shine the light, you affect people. And this is not only for your external physical body, but also to your spiritual and your spiritual traits, in terms of your qualities. There is a parallel route in that partsuf that is drawn to you. So overall we could say that the physical person, the materialistic person, to all his limbs, in a way is a reflection, a mirror image of the upper person. Your job is to match this with this. Your job is to take this matter, human, you, and match it to that spiritual being that is up there, that is all shining, but your job is to take those shades that would allow the light to come through. How do you do that? You do it through Torah and Mitzvah. There's no other way to do it. By realizing that you're actually changing your reality. Not realizing that is creating a false reality. False reality, unfortunately, it's what most people are engaged in. So we all have a lot of work to do. And our job is to remove those masks, masachim, and to work hard to refine ourselves to the point that the light, the spiritual light that comes down from Olam HaAtzilut, from high above, will be able to shine on all of us. And this is what it means to do Tikkun Olam. Yeh Ratzon shenisneh kulanu, that we should all merit to do Tikkun Olam. Amen.